Welcome to the second webinar on MySQL from jpassion.com. Today's topic is MySQL Basics 2. Again, for those of you who have an access to jpassion.com, feel free to download the lab and you can actually do the lab exercises together with me. I'm going to actually demo most of the exercises. Okay, so let's move on with the presentation. So what we are going to cover today include field modifiers such as auto-increment, index, and unique, and table modifiers. Last week there are a lot of questions in terms of InnoDB as a storage engine, so we're gonna take a look what kind of storage engines are supported by MySQL, and we'll take a look at other table modifiers. So a storage engine is something that you can specify as a table modifier, and then we're going to see how we can use where clause and group by and having, and also user-defined variables. Okay, so let's move on to advanced field modifiers. Let me just hide this one. So these are the field modifiers you can use. Auto-increment, we talked about this one last week as well. So this is typically used for primary key column, and basically you are asking MySQL to automatically generate a number, and it will increment previous number by 1. Index is very important for performance reason. It basically indexes a field. So when a field is indexed, MySQL no longer has to scan the whole table. Instead, it's going to use index to locate the record. So performance reason is very important. Unique means the value has to be unique. So if you try to add a value, if you try to add another row that is duplicate of previous duplicate with another row, then you are going to have an exception. Alright, so this is an example of auto-increment. So here we create a table of employees, and employee ID we are setting with auto-increment modifier, and employee ID is primary key. So here we are inserting 3 records. So we can actually manually provide the employee ID values. So these are the values that will be used. However, if you don't specify the value, in this case, it's going to be allocated by MySQL. Okay, so in this case, Angie will have a value 4, John's will have a value 5. This is index. So here, basically, we are creating employees, and here there is a field. There is a column called the department, and we are saying that we want to index the department column. And later on, when you are performing a query operation on department, it's going to be a lot faster because MySQL does not have to scan the whole table to meet that query operation. Instead, it's going to use index. Unique means that value has to be unique. So here we have a name field which has to be unique. So in this case, when you are adding the 2 rows that contains the same values, it will cause an error. So this insert operation, whole insert operation will fail. Alright, so let's do exercise 1. So I am going to go to here, and let me just move this one up. Okay, so we're going to actually move on with the exercise 1. Exercise 1. First of all, you have to, so let's go to some setup. Let's actually see some setup you have to do. First of all, I assume you have studied MySQL database server. And then in this hands-on lab, you're going to actually exercise MySQL command in terms of a file. So we want to actually go to the hands-on labs, MySQL _ Basics 2. And then we are going to read files from the samples as SQL samples directory. So I want you to go to this hands-on lab location, the location that you have unzipped, and then we are going to start MySQL shell, and you want to specify which database you want to use. So these are the three things that you want to actually do. Alright, so now let's try the auto-increment. So here, this is pretty much the same. So here, if you can actually see any help on these commands, you can just type help and the name of the command. So that's something that we learned last week as well. So let's just try it. So it gives you help information. And you can actually go to this website. This is actually 5.5. I'm using 5.5. You can go to this website and you can actually see detailed information about it. So let me just go here. Oops, I think let me just. Okay. Alright, so it gives you detailed information of auto-increment, okay, including some examples. Okay. Alright, so let me go back here. So what we're going to do is we have a file called auto-increment on primary key.sql file on the SQL the scripts directory of this hands-on lab, and this is basically what we have seen in the slide as well. So here we do auto-increment, and then we have create 3 records specifying the ID ourselves, but here we are creating employees without specifying ID. In this case, MySQL will provide the ID value because we have used auto-increment. Okay, so we're going to just execute this one. So I'm going to copy this way, source, and as expected, it displays employee table, and you can see the value is 4 and 5 automatically assigned by MySQL. Right, so this is what we have done. Okay, we got some troubleshooting. So if you are not, so this command, this location of this file, I'm using relative path. Okay, so that's the reason you have to actually start MySQL shell on the directory of this hands-on lab unzip directory. Okay, but you can specify the full path here if you want to. Okay, so if you receive failed to open the file, make sure that you're actually starting in the right directory. Alright, another one is if you have not specified the database, default database, you are going to see this message, no database selected. Okay. Alright, the next one is unique. So here, again, this is the same, same code that you have seen in the presentation. So we are going to try copy, and as expected, here we are trying to add duplicate row. So this name field is unique, and if you're trying to add the row that contains the duplicate name, then it will return duplicate entry John's for key name error condition error to 23,000. Alright, the next one is index. So here we have specified we want to create the index for this department. Okay, so we have actually 2 unique fields. One is of course primary key. Primary key has to be unique, and we also specify that name column is also unique. Okay, and the department column is not unique. It doesn't have to be unique. But we want to create an index of it, so we say index and name of the column. Okay, so we created 3 test cases. Okay, so we have added Angie and Bobby and John's. Okay, and their engineering department. Their department, and then their salary. All right. So what you're going to do is we are going to actually display the hello employees table. So we're going to actually see these 3 rows, right? Okay. And you can also show all the indexes from the table by saying show indexes from employees. Okay, and also you can specify the show only primary keys. Okay, so let's actually run this guy. So we are going to copy this one. Okay, so let me just expand this one. So this is the table, okay, and this is a way that you can actually see the index information. Okay, so these are the names of the keys. You can actually see and the sequence in index, and let's see what else here. So basically, it actually index type. So it's actually using p3 for its index type. And the last one is we are just displaying the primary key. I mean, we are just kind of displaying this information. Okay. Now, if you actually say describe employees table, you can see employee ID is primary key. So this is a key column. Okay. So when you say describe what disk name of the table, it gives you meta information of the column. So these are the columns field: employee ID, name, department, salary. So name is unique key and department is mul. What that means is that this is duplicate. It's not unique. It's non-unique index has been created. So when you say mul, when you see mul on the key, that means the non-duplicate column index has been created. Now salary has not indexed yet, so that's the reason you don't see anything on the key column. Okay. All right. Now on the 4, we are going to add index to existing table. So what we have seen here is that we are actually creating a table indicating a particular field has to be indexed. Now if you have a bunch of index tables and now you are performing some query operation including some columns, and if those columns are not indexed, then you can actually add index constraints to those columns to have a better performance. So you can actually obviously see create index help, and so you can see this is the way that create. So let me just to show you. So let's see the employees, and this is what we have seen, right? So there is no keys. So let's do that one more time. So there is no key value for salary, which means the salary field has not been indexed. Department has been indexed. Okay. So we are going to create an index for salary. So this is the command. So what it does is that create index for salary on this table. Okay, so now if I display employees, now you can see salary is now indexed. Okay, so again, MUL stands for the non-duplicate the indexed column. Okay, you can drop the index information on a particular column. So in this case, we are going to drop indexing on the salary column. Okay, so here we're going to just drop it again, and now if you see description of this table, now you can see the key value is gone on salary column. Alright, so let's move on. I'm going to take questions at the end of this presentation. Alright, so next is the table modifiers, and so there are few table modifiers, and one important modifier is actually storage engine. And what is a storage engine? Storage engine is underlying software component a database management system uses for performing database operations. So basically, it's the implementation of the database underneath for representing a table. So each table is associated with a particular storage engine. Okay. A table could be created with a particular storage engine, or it could be altered to a different storage engine later. So storage engines, so MySQL support in fact the set of storage engines based on pluggable storage engine architecture. In fact, on MySQL 5.5 there are 9 storage engines, and we are going to see the list of those storage engines that are supported on a particular MySQL version. So each storage engine has its own advantages and disadvantages, and you might want to choose a particular storage engine to make sure that you get the right performance for your particular behavior of your database operations. Now, different storage engines can be assigned to different tables in a single database. So, a single database could contain multiple tables. Each of those tables could have its own storage engine associated. Now, the factors to consider which storage engine you want to choose for a particular table includes these issues, like a frequency of reads versus write. For example, MyISAM could be better choice if table access is mostly read, meaning select operations. Whether transaction support is needed or not. In fact, there is only one storage engine, DB, that supports transactional behavior. Okay, so if you need a transactional behavior, then you have to use DB, which is, by the way, is default. Indexing requirements could be different depending on the storage engine you are using, and OS portability and feature extensibility and changeability. So these are the factors that you might want to consider. So these are the set of storage engines that are supported in MySQL. Again, there are 9 storage engines that are supported in MySQL 5.5. So InnoDB is a default, and as I said, InnoDB supports transactional behavior, which means that InnoDB storage engine provide ACID properties. So ACID stands for the atomicity, and consistency, integrity, and durability. Right? All right. So it supports transaction, which means that it supports commit, rollback, and crash recovery capabilities to protect user data. So one of the topics that we are going to cover in this course is in fact transaction, and we are going to play around with the commit, rollback, and things like that. Okay. MyISAM is based on all the ISAM code, but has very useful extensions, and there is also a collection of identical MyISAM tables that can be used as one. That's a merge MyISAM. And federated, the storage engine enables data located on remote MySQL database can be accessed as through the local server. Archive is used for storing large amounts of data without indexes in a very small footprint. So if the small footprint is important, you might want to change it to archive. Okay. CSV stores data in text files using comma-separated values format, and black hole is really a black hole. It doesn't do anything. It just accepts the data and throws it away and does not store it. Okay. Could be used for testing purpose maybe. And okay, so this is the same thing we have seen. The memory is hash-based, stored in memory, and useful for temporary tables. Okay. So in most cases, you are going to deal with DB. Okay, so when you're creating a table, you can specify storage engine of choice of yours. So here I'm creating a table indicating the engine I'd like to use is InnoDB, and here I'm using MyISAM. And if you create a table without specifying anything, then InnoDB is the default. Alright, other miscellaneous table modifiers. Auto-increment specifies the starting value of auto-increment field. So you can actually specify auto-increment at the table level in addition to the column level. And character set and collate specifies the table character set and collation. And checksum specifies whether table checksum should be computed and stored. And max rows and mini rows, you can specify maximum and minimum number of rows a table can have. Pack keys specifies whether index should be compressed or not. Again, if the size of the table, including indexes, is important, you might want to pack keys. Delay key write specifies whether indexes should be updated only after all writes to the table are complete. So it might actually improve performance for tables with high frequency of writes. Okay, so for this kind of cases, and if the performance is important, you might want to actually choose delay key write. Data directory you can specify the default non-default data directory, and index directory also you can specify non-default index directory, meaning directory where index table gets created. Alright, so let's do exercise 2. So this is the table modifiers. We're going to actually play around mostly storage engines. So if you say help storage engines, you can actually see detailed information here. So now if you want to display all the storage engines that are supported by a particular version you're using, so you can say show engines. By the way, \G means it's actually giving you a bit more structured information. Okay, so let's try without \G.